Families have gathered to hear the news as it comes through, and I can tell you that one former paratrooper who has been named as Soldier F is to be charged with 2 murders and 4 attempted murders during Bloody Sunday in 1972. That has just come through from Northern Ireland's Public Prosecution Service. One former paratrooper being charged. I think we can go to Dennis Murray. He's the BBC's former Ireland correspondent and has lived through reporting on these events for many years. Dennis, what can you tell us about charges?
Well, exactly what you said. Only one soldier is going to be charged. The Director of Public Prosecutions has said that there is not enough evidence for the prospect of securing a conviction in the case of 17 soldiers and 2 official IRA men who also fired shots on the day of Bloody Sunday. Only one soldier, who's Soldier F, has been charged with 2 counts of murder. He's been charged with murdering James Ray and William McKinney, and he's been charged with the attempted murders of Joseph Friel, Michael Quinn, Joe Mahon and Patrick O'Donnell. Now, there's not going to be, it says there's insufficient evidence to provide a reasonable prospect of conviction in the other cases. So the test for prosecution is not met, but it's been concluded there is sufficient evidence available to charge former Soldier F. He was described as Soldier F in the Savile Tribunal, and the Savile Tribunal nomenclature is being carried over into this one. So only one soldier is to be charged with anything, and it's Soldier F, who will be charged with 2 murders and 4 attempted murders.
What is the reaction likely to be from the families to that news?
I would guess that the families will be disappointed, because what the families have said all along is they want justice, which I think translates as seeing people who fired rifles on that day being brought before the courts. But the trouble is, you can't really argue with this from that point of view. If you've spent 9 years since the Savile inquiry re-interviewing 668 witnesses, and the 20 suspects, 18 soldiers, one of whom died last year, and the 2 official IRA men I mentioned. It's taken 9 years to get to this point, so the DPP, I think, can't be faulted for the thoroughness of this, and they feel they simply don't have enough evidence to secure a conviction in the case of 17 soldiers and 2 official IRA men, but they feel there is enough evidence to take this case against Soldier F. Now, on the other hand, I'm sure there will be politicians and former and current soldiers who will be very disappointed, indeed very angry, and will feel betrayed that any soldier is to face any prosecution.
These events were 47 years ago. Just talk us through, remind viewers about what happened and about the impact that there has been ever since.
Well, more or less the last sentence of the Savile inquiry was Bloody Sunday was a catastrophe for Northern Ireland, which it was, because it became the biggest source of recruitment to the Provisional IRA and to the other Republican paramilitary groups after it happened, not least because the establishment, the British Army and politicians told, as far as many people, I would say most people are concerned, told flat out lies about those who were shot, that they were either gunmen or bombers, which Savile found emphatically that they were not. Martin McGuinness, who gave evidence, he was a witness at the Savile Tribunal, he described the IRA in 1972 as like the Boy Scouts. Now, I was highly sceptical of that assessment, so I asked a very experienced Derry journalist who was there on the day of Bloody Sunday, do you accept that characterisation? And he said, yes, I do. And the Derry Brigade of the IRA, and the IRA in general, became an extremely ruthless, in their terms, very effective paramilitary organisation, and indeed the deadliest terrorist organisation in Europe for the next 20 plus years. So you can see why Lord Savile said it was a catastrophe. The march itself was a civil rights march against internment without trial. People had been arrested the previous August and interned without trial, in other words, put in jail without facing the courts, in an attempt to dampen down, to put a stop to the trouble that was already brewing. And that as well, that just stirred the pot. That made the troubles become much more intense. And then Bloody Sunday, of course, accelerated that whole process. The former father, Dennis Bradley, a very eminent man here, was a young Catholic priest on the day of Bloody Sunday, and he was there. He says, even to this day, that up to Bloody Sunday, there were troubles in Northern Ireland. After Bloody Sunday, it was a war.
Dennis, do stay with us. I just want to go to our correspondent Karen Allen, who joins us from Derry. Karen, what reaction to this news? Charges being brought against one former soldier.
Well, we're expecting official reaction from the families in the next few minutes. Many of them marching at the moment from the Bogside through to just behind me here to the Guildhall, where we're expecting to hear more from them. I think, as we hear, there's definitely a sense of disappointment among many of the families. But I did speak to one woman this morning, and she said even if there was one former soldier charged, then that would be enough for her. It's very, very hard to overstate the symbolic importance of today and the symbolic importance of Bloody Sunday. And everyone that you speak to round here, almost without exception, knows someone who was there on the day 47 years ago. So, as I say, we are expecting the families to appear here fairly shortly. There is a half-mile march from the Bogside through to the Guildhall here, and this is where we're also likely to hear a little bit more detail about the PPS's decision.
Dennis was describing the impact on Northern Ireland and the troubles of Bloody Sunday. Now that the true story is out there, that it's, it was heard through Savile, we've had the Savile findings. You mentioned that one woman said that even if one soldier were charged, that would be enough for her. How cathartic have these processes been?
It's difficult to hear your exact question, but I think you're asking me about sort of the sense of things today, sort of 47 years later. And I think, look, this is in the DNA of people who lived here. So many families have got links to Bloody Sunday. And as one woman told me, today is an extremely emotional day. It's a very, very different scene to more than 40 years ago here, but there has been some sectarian violence, still not on the scale that we saw before, but as we heard Dennis say earlier on, this was an event that was the totemic event, if you like, of the Troubles. It acted very much as a recruiting tool subsequently for more and more loyalists, and also it was an important catalyst for many other events and further shootings and loss of life that followed in the years subsequently. So it's an important day for the people of Derry. It is a very different place today. Still no sign of any families arriving here, but I think in a few minutes' time we can expect to see them coming and basically gathering here. I'm going to say it might be several hundred of them gathered here to try and give us a little bit more indication of their reaction